Not too long ago, Draymond Green said in an interview that his hatred for Chris Paul is an 11 out of 10. But now there's videos coming out of them working out together, and it looks like everything that happened before is just water under the bridge. They're getting along, they're on the same team, same mindset, and it looks like they're on the same page with everything. And this is good news, or at least if you're a Golden State fan. But now that he's on the team, we start to wonder what type of role he's going to have being on the Warriors. He's definitely not going to be starting, and so let's go ahead and assume that he's going to come off the bench. But also, he has something to offer, and so I don't think he's going to be one of those players that, comes off the bench but plays very little minutes, barely puts up any stats. I can't see Chris Paul being that guy. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that he's going to play about 20 to 25 minutes off the bench, which I think is pretty solid for where he's at in his career. Up to this point, he has never come off the bench before, but this almost seems like the perfect way for him to start his career decline, if you want to call it that. He's always been a starter. He's always played almost the entire game. And so what better way to start coming off the bench than to, having Steph Curry as your starter? That's the best way to go. It's better than him being passed around the league, and then, eventually he becomes a bench player, but he's coming off the bench, and the starter is some, B-list athlete, some 20-year-old or something. And so I'd say off the bench about 20 to 25 minutes a game, and I think he has a lot to contribute in that time frame. If you look at their lineup right now, it's going to be Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. And this is going to be the shortest lineup in the NBA. I say lineup, but I assume those five will play the most amount of minutes together. And so we'll call it their primary lineup. But the average height for all of them is 6'4", which is pretty short. And the average age is going to be 33 years old, or 33 and a half if you want to be exact. And so, there's some short guys out there and they're pretty old. And so they're going to have to get creative with how their offense runs. But if there's any team that I can count on for being creative, it's going to be Golden State, because they have played pretty small ball for years now, and they've excelled at it too. They find ways to beat their opponents while not necessarily being the tallest team on the court, but they'll find other ways around it. They're running around, they're setting screens, they have high and fast-paced action, and this wins them games. And I want to be optimistic and say that they'll continue to do that same thing with Chris Paul in the lineup as well. One thing that I'm really excited about is seeing off-ball Steph. So we all know that Steph Curry is very talented. He is, his ball handling's up there, his shooting is off the charts. He plays his position really well, but something that he does extremely well is off-ball. When he doesn't have the ball, he's always moving. He's always running from one side of the court to the other, and he's always trying to lose his defender. And so somebody can, throw him the ball and he gets an easy catch and shoot three. And he's been doing that, and he's going to continue doing that. We all know that. But the thing is, he is so good off the ball that he has never needed a very good passer to find him, just because he picks up the slack and he's able to get open on his own 2 feet. But now that he has Chris Paul on the team, Chris Paul is one of the best passers in the league, and his court vision is off the charts as well. And so seeing off-ball Steph with Chris Paul with the ball, that's going to be something that's going to be really fun to watch. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Something else that I look forward to is the fact that because he's coming off the bench, now the second unit has a leader on the court. If you've seen Chris Paul play, then you kind of know his style of almost directing. When he's slowly dribbling up the court, you can see him, looking at his teammates. He's pointing at them. He's telling them where to stand, where to set up pick, where to cut, where to do this, where to do that. He's very vocal out there, and he's almost commanding his team to play a certain way. And he's going to bring that leadership, but now to the second unit of the Golden State Warriors. And most teams in the NBA, they don't have a leader for their bench players. And so Chris Paul is going to do that. He's going to be that guy. And he's going to be the reason why their bench players are all averaging a few more points, a few more assists. I think everybody around him gets better off the bench just because of the type of leader that he is. But now there's some concerns as well. Obviously, I listed earlier that the team is pretty old, and Chris Paul actually turns 39 next year. That's pretty old. He's probably one of the oldest guys in the league right now, or at least like top 5, oldest guys in the league. And so issues do come up with that. We don't know how they're going to play out with him. He has never been the fastest player on any team, so the speed was never there to begin with. But whatever speed he had, that's gonna be decreased a little bit. His hustle, he doesn't ever dunk the ball, but now you can kind of scratch that out completely. So he's gonna have to really adjust his style of play just because of his age. But there is good to this, because while his physical athleticism could be decreasing, a player that has a high IQ, that IQ remains even if he does get older. And we saw this with LeBron in the past few seasons as well. LeBron, when he was on Miami, was one of the most explosive players, darting up the field with dunks, blocking shots. He was on every play. And he was an animal, the way he hustled and ran, and he played pretty much every single minute of every single game. And now that he's getting older, you still see him play a lot of minutes, but you kind of see him reserve himself. He'll kind of stand around a little bit, he'll wait for his opportunity to strike, and only then does he exert himself. But until then, he's standing back, he's letting the rest of the offense do his thing, and that's his way, that's his IQ coming in that allows him to be productive while not necessarily running, every single minute that he's out there. And so knowing that Chris Paul has a high IQ as well, I can see him doing that same thing. I can see him, finding adjustments, finding ways to still excel while having to play a little bit differently, because that's gonna happen as well. And so, a lot of new things to expect, a lot of unknowns with this signing, but I will be positive. I'll try to be optimistic. And, I do hope that he is able to get creative with his IQ, with his playmaking, and hopefully he does well on the team as well. And so, now that these videos are coming out, now him and Draymond are working out together, and everything seems to be going well, at least for Golden State. This is all good news, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this as well. Let me know what you think about Golden State, about them signing a 38-year-old Chris Paul, about how you think he's going to fit in, and just overall how well you think the team is going to do in the Western Conference. Drop me a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed already, then please consider doing so, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.